Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look to what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week we have the solar eclipse in Libra, as well as Jupiter stationing retrograde in Gemini. But in case you missed it, last week Venus entered Scorpio and Mercury entered Libra. So if you want to know more about those two transits, then definitely check out last week's episode before diving into this one.
And just to give you a heads up, next week we will tell you everything that you need to know about Mercury in Scorpio and how it affects you.
And with that being said, let's dive into the episode. So the solar eclipse in Libra will happen on October 2nd at 2:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. What you need to know. Solar eclipses are basically supercharged new moons, and they tend to bring focus on major shifts in your life and to have effects that can last for around 6 months. And since this is a solar eclipse in Libra, there will be a focus on finding balance and harmony in your life, as well as a focus on relationships and how you relate to others.
How this affects you. The solar eclipse in Libra might bring about some changes in your relationships, both personal and professional. You might notice changes in how you interact with others or new opportunities coming up for you to collaborate and connect with others. This is a good time to focus on creating harmony and balance in your existing relationships or cultivating them in ones that are beginning. Even if some things come up unexpectedly, this is a good opportunity to move forward and deepen your connections.
So why this matters? Libra's influence during this solar eclipse is really going to emphasize the importance of cooperating with others and being fair. So this is a powerful moment to address any imbalances in your relationships. For example, if maybe you notice one person only likes to see things from one side and does not want to see the other side of the story, this can be a time where you're pointing that out. Overall, in your relationships, you're looking to have more harmony, and it's also all about making sure that everybody feels at least heard in your relationships.
Something you might not know is that this solar eclipse is the last one in the eclipse cycle of Aries and Libra, making this the ending of that eclipse cycle that deals with finding balance between independence and partnership. For the past year and a half, this cycle might have taught you how to nurture your needs and the needs of others without overextending yourself or becoming too self-reliant. These changes are long-lasting, and it can be a good time to reflect on how these themes have been coming up for you.
Certain signs will be more affected than others by this solar eclipse. Those signs are going to be Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, and that's personal placements only, so Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, and or Mars placements. Now, there are also some aspects to this solar eclipse that make this just a little bit more interesting. The first is that the solar eclipse is conjunct Mercury. This is very tightly conjunct Mercury. So there is a lot of focus on how you're communicating with others, making this a time where you're thinking about having those more important or impactful conversations, especially when it comes to relationships, since that is a big theme in this eclipse.
This eclipse will also be square Mars, which can bring about some challenges. Mars is a very quick and sometimes impulsive energy, so you might find that you need to practice being patient and taking a step back before responding to things. It's just really important that you stay mindful as different emotions and things are coming up in your conversation so that you're able to take a step back to see things clearly and respond in a way that is truthful.
So the next thing that happens in the astrology technically doesn't happen until next week, but we are just going to mention it just a little bit earlier. That's going to be Jupiter retrograde, which will happen in the sign of Gemini on October 9th at 3:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you need to know. When Jupiter, the planet of expansion, retrogrades in the very curious and communicative sign of Gemini, there tends to be a period of time in your life where you are a little bit more introspective, more willing to reevaluate certain areas of your life. Maybe these are areas of your life that regard learning, education, if you are in school or considering schooling. Maybe you are reflecting on how you communicate with others, how you share ideas, and what goes on in your social connections. All of those are themes that show up during Jupiter retrograde.
How this affects you. During this retrograde, you might find yourself revisiting old ideas, projects, or relationships that need further development or closure. This is a good time to reflect and gain new perspectives. You might also experience some delays or the need to revise plans because this is a retrograde, especially when it comes to themes of travel, education, or publishing.
So, why this matters? Jupiter retrograde in Gemini is really emphasizing the importance of rethinking things, especially when it comes to how you gather or share information. Unfortunately, we are in an era where a lot of misinformation does get spread quite easily. So Jupiter retrograde in Gemini is an excellent time to really be questioning things like the sources of your information, whether or not the stuff that you are reading is true, whether or not you are participating in sharing that misinformation. Outside of that in general, this is a time where you are maybe doing some internal growth, since this retrograde really does encourage you to really refine your knowledge and communication skills, which can in the future allow you to be more clear when speaking with others, and allowing for your communication skills to improve overall once Jupiter goes direct.
Something you might not know is that Jupiter is in detriment in the sign of Gemini, which means that it's not able to fully express itself. You might find that you are feeling a little bit more scattered during this time or potentially overextending yourself. It can be really easy to overcommit or pursue too many things at once. So just keep that in mind so that you can be more intentional about the way that you are using your energy.
If you're wondering how long this transit lasts, Jupiter will station direct in the sign of Gemini on February 4th of 2025 at 4:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you have between October 9th and February 4th to experience Jupiter retrograde.
And per usual, certain signs will be more affected by this than others. The signs that are most affected are Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces placements. By placements, we mean Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, or Mars placements only.
And that is it for this week's episode. Next week, we'll be talking all about Mercury entering Scorpio. So if you want to know more about that, then wherever you're listening to this podcast, make sure you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss when we post next week. But until then, that is all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday. Bye.